Want to grow your own fresh food fast without waiting months to harvest? Well, in this video, I'll show you the quickest way to grow your own food, even if you have zero experience. The great thing is, it's not just quick, it's easy. You can use just about any container to grow in. I got a bunch of baking dishes at the thrift shop for 99 cents. I've been growing microgreens for 10 years, and using my system, this is by far the easiest to not only grow microgreens, but also grow baby greens and even full-grown plants. It all starts with the sprouting. If we can't get past this point, we'll never get to enjoy my continuous harvest system. I planted out a whole new crop of red cabbage, tatsoi, broccoli, radish, arugula, and lettuce. In a minute, I'm going to take you through each day so that you can see the growth as it happens. I have several videos showing you how to set systems up. I'll link those so you can check them out if you haven't seen those yet. We had a little problem with some mold. I want to show you that too. And these adapters that I use to make the Carefree self-watering system, they're buy one get one free for the next week. I'll put the link in the description or the comments. With those, you can grow just like me. Let's get growing. Alright, now after we have these planted out, it's a couple days later, and actually 2.5 days, because I planted at night and I'm filming in the mornings. So whenever you see the day, you can add a half a day on there, or 8 hours. You get the point. Now if you don't like using aluminum foil, you can cover it with plastic wrap, cardboard, whatever you like. You see by this point, everything's just starting to germinate. There's our broccoli. You can see where the foil is ripped a little. The broccoli's poking out. With these glass baking dishes, I can see through and see them starting to sprout. That's our radish. So when they get to this point, I'm going to leave them about one more day. Now if it's really hot where you are, you may need to check inside to see if the seeds are still damp. With the humidity here in Florida, I didn't even have to mess with these. Alright, the next day, we'll uncover most of these. There's arugula, kale, radishes, broccoli, and this is the dino kale, lacinato kale. It's not germinating as fast, so I'm going to leave that one covered. These guys, the tatsoi, red cabbage, this is about the point I go ahead and uncover them. Let them start getting some light. You notice the top layer of clay pebbles is still a little damp. So we're just going to leave it alone. If it starts to look dry, go ahead and get a spray bottle, spritz it a little. But once these guys start throwing off roots, going down towards the bottom, you won't have to mess with it anymore. These over here, this is the lettuce. You can see they might need a couple more days in the dark. That's the Russian kale. Kind of like the dino kale. And I'm going to leave this one covered up a little too. Now right here, see this fuzzy stuff? I get a lot of questions about mold and people confusing it with root hairs. This right here, you can see it growing over the clay pebbles. That's mold. All the little fuzzy stuff over here, they're all on the roots. Those are root hairs. So if you get something like that, that's trouble. But all of these other ones, the little cotton-like fuzzy things growing off the roots, that's all just fine. So with these, you can see the fuzzy stuff is around all the roots, and it's not actually growing over the clay pebbles. So this one that's getting a little mold, I don't even want it around my other plants. So I'm going to take it, set it aside, far away from these other ones. And I'm just going to mix a little bit of hydrogen peroxide and water and spritz the top of these and let it set. If it does okay, we can use it. If not, we'll just start over. And got our tatsoi coming along nice. Red cabbage coming up in the back. Arugula, day 4. You can see, even though this one's down a little, we're going to be able to harvest. Don't really need to refill. Red kale, radish, looking awesome. And broccoli. I've got red cabbage and my tatsoi up there because the cat jumped up there and tore up my plastic, and it might rain today, so I've got to replace that, and I don't want the water dripping right in, so that's where it's at. So I moved those two just so they don't overflow. Really, even if it did, you can see it hasn't used hardly any. And at this point, we want these to start drying out on the top. See, we just uncovered them. These guys are putting down roots. When it gets to this point, you want these to start drying out. We just uncovered this morning. Takes a little bit longer for the dino kale. And this is what, you have different germination rates. See the broccoli? These are planted on the same day. Broccoli sprouted up that fast. Kale is taking a little bit longer. This is the last an hour. Now, this is not planted quite as densely as that. These we're going to eat as microgreens. These are going to get planted into some bigger containers so we can grow out a bunch of other kale. Same with this lettuce. Some of this lettuce is going to get replanted, but the lettuce here and this radish took a little bit longer, and that kale back there. So we just uncovered those 3 this morning. And these 2 we uncovered yesterday. Arugula, broccoli, all planted on the same day. So germination rate, it takes a little bit different for some crops. But so far, day 4, haven't done anything. Still plenty of water in there. And of course these, that's a ton of water, the whole thing. It hasn't used hardly any of it. So that's why you don't really need the refillable. This one's not in a refillable adapter. That one's not. We're not planning on refilling it. We're just going to grow them out, transplant a lot of them into bigger containers like this, or over there you can see Keely's got Bunch of lacinato kale going in there. She's got her herbs down below and some kale up at the top. So that's what we're going to do, transplant them. We've got some transplanted out here. So this is a little bit of our cilantro going out here. Alright, here's the red cabbage that had the mold on it. After a few days, the hydrogen peroxide took care of it. And you can see there's no mold on the clay pebbles. The top layer is drying out. And the radish is sprouted. So I'm going to move this back into the shade house with the other guys. So here's the rest of the microgreens. You can see they're all about an inch or two tall. The next day, the ones we left covered up a little longer, they're coming along nice. Arugula is looking good. So is the broccoli. You can see the nutrients are going down in the bottle as they grow. Tatsoi, red cabbage looking good. Still nutrients in the bottle, don't have to mess with them. Broccoli, we can actually harvest these at this time if you like. We're going to let them go a little while longer. I still got plenty of nutrients. And the radish, this bowl's a little deeper. These guys are about 4 or 5 inches tall already. And we got more kale, more arugula back here. And you can see they're starting to use the nutrients. And here's our dino kale. Still coming along, and the top layer is drying out. So it just takes a little while longer to germinate. Nothing to worry about. Looking good. Alright, this is the next day. And as you can hear, it's raining. But that's why I have the shade house and it's covered. You don't have to worry about water getting in and flooding these. This broccoli's used all its nutrients. But you can still see a little bit in the bottom. Everything else looks good. So far, we haven't done anything to any of these. And it's raining and I got new plastic on the top. So at this point, if you like, you can come in here and just start trimming some microgreens. This broccoli is ready to go. And the purple radish takes a few days longer. But all of these other ones, this is only a week. You see the roots look good. It's growing up above the container. We can trim off the top. You can start enjoying it now if you like. So now is when I just trim a little off if I'm going to toss it on a salad or sandwich, sprinkle it in the soup. But I like to let them go a little bit longer so you get a better yield. And you don't have to plant this many at one time. I'm just showing you what's possible. If you're only going to eat 1 or 2 of these in a week, then just plant 1 or 2 a week. And as some are growing, you're starting to harvest, plant a few more out. That's part of the system. And here's our dino kale. Still chugging along. Not ready to transplant yet. Now at this point, I'm going to keep an eye on the nutrients. It's all used out of the bottle. If you have a refillable adapter, you can go ahead and add some more. But watch down in the bottom here. You can see a little bit of water where the roots are. That's what you want. And it's dry up on top. So don't fill this thing entirely up. But if you're not ready to harvest this yet, you can always just pour a little bit of nutrients right in here. Or just water. These are only going to be in here a few more days. Or I might leave them for another week or so and see how long they'll go. I always like to experiment. But at this point, if you want to transfer them to a bigger container, you can see how easy they are to pull out. They've got long roots. You don't have to worry about washing soil off of them. In these deep glass containers, it's easy to see what's going on. See all the roots down at the bottom, soaking up the water and nutrients, and the top layer is dry. That's important. Everything else is going good. So we're going to keep these growing, but totally at this point, you can start to harvest. And you can see without doing anything, these still have plenty of nutrients. Might have to watch the broccoli here. It's getting kind of low. That one's still half full. Ready to harvest. This one's still half full. You can eat those too. Same thing down here. Alright, so from here, we're just going to let it go and see what happens. I'll come in and harvest a little bit if I need anything. I can always come in here and grab a handful of broccoli, arugula. Everything's ready. This lettuce could go a couple more days. This kale, you can harvest it now or let it go. It does really well. You've actually seen some of the kale in the milk jugs. So at this point, these guys are ready to harvest, and you can see they didn't use all the nutrients. The ones out here that are getting more sun used a little bit more. So you can see different plants in different places use the nutrients at different rates. So a lot of people ask, like, how many days between watering? And there's no set date. After it uses it up, you're just going to have to keep an eye on it. All of these are ready to harvest, no refilling at all. This is the point, if we want to carry it on longer, let them get bigger, then we're going to have to watch them. And we won't be able to do it forever. Sooner or later, these will be overcrowded. It's not good for the plants. But we're going to see how far we can take it. right here, if I harvest the top of these broccoli. So pretty much every day I just come out here and check them out. And so far, haven't had to do anything. The clay pebbles in the bottom are still a little damp, and the plants will actually tell you when they need some water. I just moved a couple of cabbage up front instead of having them all in the back. And these are just about ready to transplant. They're big enough. Alright, 9 days in. We say most microgreens 7 to 10 days. It is 9 days on its own. No watering, no nothing. Boom. So with the self-watering adapter, this is what you can do. And this is with the clay pebbles. We're going to let these go and see how long they can go before they give out. I might harvest a little bit along the way. We'll transplant some of ours. We're going to move some of this kale, the lettuce, tatsoi, maybe a few arugula. We'll put them in bigger containers like this. Now I'm just going to let the microgreens go. This is 15 days. I last came out here and messed with all of this 8 days ago. So all you microgreen growers out there and that, can you leave your microgreens going for 8 days without doing anything to it? We're going to check these out back here. But you can see we've got lettuce. We're going to transplant some of those, grow those out. Radish, we're going to eat those. Second harvest of the cabbage, kale, broccoli. Oh, look at this. It's going to be the new thing with the hydroponic hut. The totes. Got a bunch of beets growing there. Got tomatoes on the other side. So this made it all through the winter. Oh, arugula. That was it, arugula. That's the red kale. That's the one you saw growing in the milk jugs. Right here. Got some pak choi growing in there. That's for another video. But you know what? Let's go ahead and open that up. This is a Mountain Dew bottle on one of my adapters. Hydroton. This was ribs. Ate the ribs. Don't want to waste a container. The lid makes a cool little, move this over here, humidity dome, and you're gonna see us unveiling the pak choi. I forgot this was even out here. That's the one problem with this set and forget it stuff, is you do it. I harvested this about a week ago. Was waiting to clean it out. You can see some little ones popping up here. If you want to, you can go through here, pull those out, transfer those into your bigger container, start growing those out. Second harvest, which is we just harvested the top, the little ones that didn't sprout as fast, those are coming up now. So 2 harvests, not the same ones growing back, but still get some more out of it. And this right here, look at all the pak choi. You can grow in anything. Smoked ribs came in that, right, from IGA. Mountain Dew bottle, my little adapter. I set this out here. This was the first time we did anything to it. Uncovered it. These guys, you can tell it's not going to use all that in about 5 days. This will be ready to harvest. Let's look back here. Woo! And we've got dino kale. This is the one that we did not plant this too dense because we're going to be pulling all of these guys out. See how easy that is? See the roots? And we're going to be moving those into bigger containers. So there's plenty of them here. Hundreds of them, right? We've got the broccoli. We trimmed off the back. Still a little there. Purple radish. China rose radish. Red kale. You can see some are drooping. He needs a little water. So that means that that one's just about out. Transfer some of those. Harvest. But 15 days. Arugula, 15 days. Still going. All we have is one casualty here. Starting to droop today, right? Not all of them. That's because the hydroton is holding some of the moisture. So some of them are starting to dry out. Some of them are still holding on. All the rest of these still holding on. Right? It's easy. 8 days all by itself. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to pour a little bit of water in there. This is not refillable, but watch. Alright, it's just straight water. Pour a little right in there. We're not even going to pour the whole bottle in. We'll come back out tomorrow morning and you'll see how that does. See if it peps back up by tomorrow morning. And all the rest of these guys, we'll check them. Still a little bit of nutrients in it. Still a little bit down there. So he needs a little shot up here. Look at here. Let's give him a little shot. We'll come back out tomorrow. I think that's a refillable one. We'll fill that one up tomorrow. Look at all that. 2 weeks, no care, right? So this one went 15 days and this one needs a little, that one needs a little. I wanted to let these go as long as possible and let you guys see how long they can go. Look at all the lettuce right there, right? And you can see right there, it's only about half. Radish, that's totally ready to harvest. Look at all that radish in there. Look at all that kale. Awesome. Alright, this is day 16. Everything pretty much looks the same as yesterday, right? It's growing a little bit more. Kale's ready to be transplanted. Look at that. Lots of kale. Right? Here's all of our tatsoi, our red cabbage. And here's the one that was drooping over yesterday. And all we did was pour a little bit of water right in there. No nutrients or anything, just added a little water. Any of the other ones, I think it was this one here. Looked like it started to dry out a little. We just added a little water. Now everything's ready to harvest. Now we can just continue to do that until we harvest or we transplant. And we've got, holy moly, look at that radish. Isn't that cool? No care at all, just sitting here, just grows, didn't do anything, didn't refill it. That mason jar was enough to do this. Look at all that lettuce. And look at this kale. These guys can be harvested, right? All down here is where the nutrients and the rock hydroton is, your clay pebbles. So up here, all nice, ready to go. And this one we just uncovered yesterday. Today is going to be his first full day in the sun, and it's already starting to green up. So we'll see how this goes. This one's on about day 4, 3 or 4, I forget. But you can tell, hasn't used anything, right? Right down there, you can see it's a little damp. Alright, when you're done with your ribs, grow something healthy. Alright, I just want to show you all this real quick. All these microgreens, and they're just sitting there. I left them for 3 weeks. These were planted out on the 11th of last month, and for the first 2 weeks really didn't do anything to them. And as they've grown a little bit bigger like this, now they started to use a little bit of water. So some of these smaller bottles I came in and refilled. Little bigger ones like that last a little bit longer. But it's just all with these little adapters. Makes it easy. Those are mason jars, the refillable one. That's the one you can refill. You can pull the bottle out, refill it. If you're going to grow in a little small bowl like those right there, you really don't need a refillable one. Those are big enough to last throughout the grow. And if you need a little bit, you can just pour a little bit of water in till it lasts a couple more days. But pretty much just set it and forget it. With the bigger bottles, the mason jars, these last a lot longer. There's one that fits a soda pop bottle, the plastic soda pop bottle, or a mason jar. And that one's just a mason jar. I think it's pretty cool. 3 weeks. And we've already harvested, see that cabbage right there? We've harvested that once already. And then the little seeds that were not quite germinating as fast, those got a chance to pop up when we cut the top layer off. So that's the second harvest off of that. And that broccoli up there too. We've got another broccoli over there that we harvested. So we've been munching off of this too. Still loads of greens. And we're getting ready to transplant some of these into bigger containers like that. So stick around. Lots of fun. Now right now, I've got these buy one get one free while supplies last. I'm pretty much caught up, so whoever orders first will get theirs pretty quick. Once the orders start pouring in, it takes me a couple weeks to catch up, but right now, this one, the refillable, buy one get one free, then you can grow like me. Tatsoi, peppery. This side's getting sun. Sun comes from this direction. This side's getting a little shade so you can see. Starting to grow a little bit more there, right? Today, we can flip it around like that. So this end gets more sun. And he's out of water. So all we're gonna do is fill a little bit of nutrients in here. Just pour a little bit in, not to the top. Just a little bit on the bottom. We want the top to kind of stay a little dry. And we'll come in and harvest these, transplant some of those too. Look at this, red kale. You saw that in the milk jugs. So we can take these and put them in a milk jug, but the first true leaves are coming in and they look like that. Pretty cool. So that'll grow out to a pretty cool kale plant if you want, but look at all those microgreens just on that baking dish. Just a little baking dish, right? This here. Isn't that awesome? And arugula. Arugula, cabbage, tatsoi. More back there. Alright, we're getting ready. We're going to transplant some of these. We're going to harvest, clean them out, wash out the hydrogen, start over. Maybe this time we'll use sand. So we're going to show you either way works. But just want to show you the people who bought these adapters in the beginning and started using it with the clay pebbles. I want to show you how well it works, that we've grown this. All of this is all growing right here, and we've been harvesting off of it. Right? This is 3 weeks. So now we're going to do it with sand. Alright, keep on growing.